Hi, everyone. My name is Gatwiri Njogu Mokaya. I'm CEO and co-founder at VunaPay. I am also a mom, a wife, a mom of 3. And, maybe I can tell you a little bit about VunaPay and why we do what we do. So at VunaPay, we are solving what I honestly believe is the most painful problem that is keeping smallholder farmers poor, and that is delayed payment. What happens is these smallholder farmers, 50% of all smallholder farmers across Africa sell through agricultural cooperatives. An agricultural cooperative is me, you, and 3,000 other smallholder farmers coming together so we can be able to sell together and maybe purchase fertilizers together. But now because it's me, you, and 3,000 other smallholder farmers, it means there's no one to pay us when we take our produce to the cooperative. It has to be processed, sold, and then eventually it will circle back and we get paid. That could be even sometimes as long as 1 year later. I don't know how many of you would be happy to work and then I'll wait to be paid a year. So that is what delayed payment is really. At VunaPay, what we do is we work with these agricultural cooperatives to ensure that the smallholder farmer gets paid instantly. We connect, we digitize, we run, we provide a tool to run the cooperative, but the main reason we are doing that is so when the smallholder farmer delivers that produce, we know that farmer has brought in their 5 kilos of coffee and they'd like to get paid. We link them with financiers, some commercial banks, but also some government funds that are able to pay them instantly at a maybe hopefully below market rates. Yeah, that's what we do.
Excellent, thank you so much. So just imagine if you had to work for a whole year before you got paid. And that's a problem VunaPay is solving. Next we have Ngugi, please go ahead.
Yo, my name is Ngugi Karega. I'm the CEO and Chief Hustler at Skizaa AI. Personally, I have a dog. I'm very proud of you for building a startup with 3 kids. So I spent last 10 years in India. Started my career at IBM, building IBM Bluemix, which later is IBM Cloud now. I'm very excited to be building Skizaa AI. What we've realized, especially in the African ecosystem, is businesses are drowning in data, trying to generate insights to drive, customer support, drive their sales, and overall business decisions. But you find that data analysts are swamped with requests from every department. Hey, I need this report, I need this report. And by the time the key decision makers get their reports on the desk, it's 3-4 days later. These inconveniences cost businesses an average of $50 million a year. We're talking about large enterprises, which is what we serve. So we built an agentic architecture that handles the entire ETL, extract, load and transform data processes. In that way, every single person in a business can be able to have self-service data analytics and insights. We're growing fast and I'm super excited to keep chatting about this. Over to you, mate.
I might have to promote myself to Chief Hustler Ngogi, so. Hi everyone, my name is Faye Makinde. I'm the CEO and founder of Reeka. We build property management and real estate technology for the rest of the world, and we're starting in Africa. Reeka right now serves property managers specifically in the short-term rental space, and we're helping them aggregate their information from different listing platforms as well as accept local and international payments. We're basically the operating system behind real estate businesses.
Okay, is this thing on? Hi everyone, my name is Rama Afulo, I'm Chief Hustler, CEO and founder of Satlyt. It's a space tech startup. We are networking satellites, aggregating the excess compute and turn that into a virtual data center. By ways of my background, I'm a mechanical engineer and space systems engineer. I was one of the first 3 employees of Tesla here in Africa, built their telecommunications vertical from the ground up, and sold the first ever deals in the telco space, and that was actually to Econet in Zimbabwe. And then worked for Google for 5 years, and between Dublin and the US in San Francisco in the Bay Area. And before finally doing a short stint at SpaceX as a product manager at Starlink, and then realizing that I'd rather build my own dreams than build someone else's. So during that time, saw a lot of issues within the space tech industry with latency reduction, with a lot of sort of networking issues in general. It's been a good 5 months. I've got 2 employees here, June and Jacob. June's right here, and Jacob's in the corner over there, who are both here based in Kenya, and my other employee, Gloa, is based in the US with me. So we're trying to build a multinational corporation in the space industry, something that you will probably first think, hey, why do something in space? But eventually you realize that if we don't have a foothold in space as Africans, we will have major issues and we will always be a customer instead of a seller. So thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, so thank you so much. That's very inspiring. So I'm curious for you to talk about, like, how did you come up with your idea for VunaPay? Like, did you just wake up and decide that you want to work with farmers? And how are you actually solving the problem that you identified? And what impact are you having in your market?
Yeah, well, I had also been in corporate, worked for Safaricom, worked for Oracle. And I really was, when I was at Safaricom, I set up what they were calling social innovation. So I was coming up with products that were very impactful, but also commercial. When I moved to Oracle, and I was there for 5 years, I always wanted to go back and create something that is impactful, but also commercial. So when I left Oracle, I left and decided that this is the time to do it. There's really no good time. I joined Antler at Kosen there, and they were fantastic at helping us identify, that product, that really the problem, first of all, that you wanted to solve. For me, I wanted something that was close to my heart. I didn't want to just do another product. And having grown up, my parents grew up as smallholder farmers. So I'm surrounded by a lot of smallholder farmers. My uncles. I keep telling stories because one of the people that really influenced me was my uncle, Uncle Kimathi. He's my dad's little brother. He is one of the most hardworking people I know. So anytime I would see my uncle not able to make his ends meet, and yet I know how much he's working, that really always hurt me. I have a lot of cousins that are also smallholder farmers. I wanted to solve a problem for them. I honestly believe that with what we are doing, we can change the landscape. So that really keeps me motivated, and that's why we are providing the instant payment. That's why we are partnering. That's why we are here. That's why we are everywhere talking about the smallholder problem, and every day waking up to solve that problem. Thankfully, we are not very... we are very early stage. We've not been here for too long, but we've been able to sign up over 120,000 smallholder farmers. And thank you very much. We actually do have quite a wait list. So it's a problem, it's a real problem that we found. But what really I love about it is that it's actually, the solution has been embraced. And it's really good to see my co-founder has just walked in. Hi, Koya. Yeah, as we are speaking.
Excellent. Can you talk a little bit more about the impact you're having in terms of, like, how are you actually helping these farmers? What impact is it having on their lives?
Their impacts. Yesterday we were having a team building for our team. We are a very large team of 9. And so our team, other than the co-founders, everyone else is mashinani, upcountry. We have people in Kiambu and Meru and Kericho, Kipkelion. I actually spend most of my time out of Nairobi because that's where our customers are. Seeing people who, for them it was almost, first of all, at the cooperative level, we've been making a lot of payments, even just end of season payments, not just the instant payment. And seeing people who used to have to go through all these papers. I wish I could have shown you the kind of papers that they do. They go through recording and then make the payment, the calculations, the errors, the fraud that actually can happen. and them being able to deliver your produce and you get your SMS receipt immediately. So meaning you could even send a border rider with your little coffee and you're sure that that coffee arrived exactly what they said. So for them, even just having a record, like the way people believe in their M-Pesa message, that's what it has become. They can take that little SMS and say that this is how much coffee I have delivered. Seeing people being able to just access whatever they need to access when they need it, for us, it's amazing. We ran a pilot that closed in August, and since then, that's when we've been able to, when we opened it up, that's when we've had a lot of these people signing up. We've been able to disburse close to $1 million, and hopefully we continue doing that, because the need is really great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Ngugi, let's talk about Skizaa. Can you just take us through like a case study of a customer you were working with and what your company helps them to do, or how you've transformed basically how they get insights from the data that they have?
Brilliant. First of all, I think it's very key to know when you talk about Skizaa, I have a very strong founding team. I have Ali Buckland, who brings in a very strong experience from Europe. And then I have Shoji, one of the top engineers graduating from IIT, strong AI, ML engineer. And so when you bring this, and then plus me, the chief noisemaker, right? Like if you put that mix together with a customer, what we are able to see first is the inconveniences that you see in departments that do not communicate with each other. So for starters, businesses have data. Most of these big enterprises have data analysts and data scientists who are already solving the data analytics problem internally. But the biggest problem they have is sales team does not talk to the marketing team, or the marketing team data does not talk to the sales team data or customer support data. And so for us, being able to bring in a very small tool, Skizaa is very minute, that integrates all the different data sets that are coming from all the team and making them accessible to every single employee. And that is the game changer, right? When every single employee in your team is able to access real-time insights to make decisions on the fly is a real game changer. And I'll give an example. One company called Uncover, they are one of the really big beauty products in the country. When they onboarded Skizaa, what they've seen, and these are just not numbers, they've seen 40% increase in efficiency, especially in solving customer problem and logistic issue. Second thing is they've seen an increase in 25% increase in their revenues. And this is because they're able to do what? More targeted advertising and marketing towards their customer based on the purchase behavior. So leveraging on the insights that you have as a business to drive your top line is really key. And so that is where we've seen a significant impact from smaller business to the large ones.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's talk to Faye, all the way from Lagos. Please tell us about what's the problem you're solving for property owners, and just take us through like the case study of how that works.
Yeah, so actually on my way to the airport to Nairobi, we stopped and onboarded a customer with over 100 units based in Lagos, or in the Yaba area. So that's like our tech ecosystem in Lagos, and it's grown a lot over the past few years. They're a big developer, and they mostly sell to investors. And so those investors want them to manage their properties, usually as short-term rentals. And the issue they have is they have a highly distributed team, and they basically manage everything on WhatsApp or yelling at each other in the office. And so what we've given them is a system that allows each property manager to see where their bookings are coming from, when people are checking in and checking out, something that's that simple. There wasn't a real single source of truth for those businesses. So a case study like that is, this is a developer that has over 1,000 units in the pipeline for the next year. So we think giving them technology will allow them to scale their operations, and there will be a have and have nots. The ones that use technology will be able to actually improve their operations and scale. And if you don't embrace technology to actually formalize your operations as a property manager, we think it's going to be difficult to get the scale that you'd want. My background is in real estate lending, so I was at KKR for almost 3 years, did over $1 billion in real estate transactions personally, and so I knew the level of data and the level of organization needed for those businesses to access that capital. And so we're hoping to build trust with our customers, give them a system where they can record and transact, and starting with payments, access financial services, and think there's a much bigger opportunity once that data is brought together.
Yeah, thank you so much. So next we're going to head off to space with Rama. Please tell us about how did you actually come up with this, and how are you solving this problem, and why is it important?
Sure. I think I'll first like to start off by giving a quick shout out to Ashley and Tom, who created Silicon Xchange. Please give them a round of applause. So I've known them for a while, and I've known Tom since my start at Google 5.5 years ago. So yeah, these are excellent people, and I think this is just amazing, right? The way they've pulled this together. In terms of the start, right? That's a question about how I got to this point. Satlyt is like an amalgamation of the 3 companies that I named before, right? So the stuff that I did there, so the telecom side of what I helped build at Tesla, and then the cloud architecture side at Google Cloud, and then finally the sort of networking and satellite element of working at SpaceX's Starlink. And really, I've had this in the works for a long time, and it's been the most patient I've ever been in my life to get to this point where we could build this in a way that would be effective. So, for example, I've had the actual domain for Satlyt. I've had the .com, the .space, the .net for 8 years, right? Since the beginning of my working career. I've had the .ai for 3 years. I've had the actual idea for Satlyt for the last 2 years, in a more sort of raw form that I pitched at the New Space Africa inaugural event here in Nairobi 2.5 years ago. But I had to wait since when I moved to the US 2 years ago to get my green card, because that would open up a lot of opportunities in terms of access to capital and the ability to actually do something at a scale that isn't just about taking care of me and my family. It's about making sure that we build something that could potentially be a multi-trillion-dollar organization. So the idea itself to sort of cross-link and connect satellite operators in space and create sort of the underbelly of the internet for space infrastructure has taken a number of iterations. But I think some of the inspiration there has included seeing what Snowflake Computing was doing, as I was their technical solutions consultant, and how they're doing data warehousing and playing all the large cloud service providers against each other. Or seeing, I've had the pleasure of meeting some of the founders of the internet and talking to some of them about how they created TCP protocols and how they were told that you cannot interconnect any of these things. You need to have specific infrastructure, and the internet will never work. And I think we're facing some of the same challenges right now, just with the conversations we're having, but we just recently closed our first pre-seed round of funding, and we're building an African startup team built by Africans, trying to do something really positive that is hyper ambitious and takes some thinking to sort of wrap your head around. But I think I'll close off by saying the best way to think about what we're doing is Airbnb for space compute, where you can rent and sell and share excess compute of your satellite with each other, and this will allow you to be able to train AI in space, run medical experiments, reduce your overall latency, federate downlink by sort of bypassing sort of cloud cover and electromagnetic radiation, and just essentially be able to do a lot of things, including creating your own GPS network, because right now, if you don't know, the GPS is owned by the US, and it is under threat at present. So if GPS disappears, a lot of the infrastructure, Uber, Google Maps, a lot of stuff just disappears as well. So we need to be prepared for that, especially as the world goes into pure isolationism. We need to protect ourselves.
Yeah, give him a clap for him. That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah.
Can
so
I
Ram,
add something to
yeah,
that?
go ahead.
I just want to say that I love what you said about coming back. I think it's one of the best times to come back to Africa and build on the continent. And I love that you touch on doing something beyond taking care of your family. That's really personal, and you want to have an impact, and you can do it from Africa on the world. And I really do think this is one of the best times to come and be an early stage founder in Africa.
Amen.
Fantastic. So, so let's kind of have like a wrap in some ways. So, you know, I think I'm really impressed by Gatwiri. You know, just like doing a startup is super, super hard. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. But to do that on top of, you know, having a family and having kids must be even extra hard. Like, how do you do it? And how can you get, you know, what kind of support resources, you know, do you need to actually make it happen?
Well, honestly, of course, it's not easy. The hours usually, I say if I worked for Safaricom or Oracle as hard as I work now, I think maybe I'd be running Oracle. I don't know. But I think the impact for me makes it worth it. I'll honestly say that. My kids, I've never seen them as attached to what I do. When you know, I was in corporate, and I really enjoyed my jobs, you know, but seeing how much they run with it, seeing the impact is great. But it's true, it's quite strenuous. I have to figure out how to weave in, you know, like I'm still, tomorrow I have a Christmas concert because they're closing tomorrow, you know, and you know, all those other things. And I was really hoping that this doesn't fall on the same day they're closing and all those things. But now that you ask me, maybe if there's any support, one of the things that I struggle with, and I'm sure there are other people like me, is finding, like in my case, women that have gone ahead that can mentor, you know. I believe in reducing the learning curve. People have already done this. So as I'm mentoring the ones, and I do have some ladies I mentor, it would be amazing to find maybe a woman who has a family like me, who is doing this, who has done this, or maybe even stopped, you know, but I'd be very interested in something like that, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a huge opportunity for us. Also, just for startup founders to have mentors is really valuable. And so, yeah, you know, I think the experienced founders need to step up and connect with the upcoming ones. That would be really valuable, right? So let's talk to Ngugi. So in terms of like, what are you looking for your startup right now in terms of like taking it to the next level? What's important for you? And you know, how can we help you to get to that point?
So we just did a major pivot this year in July by just now got purely into data analytics and AI. And we've done almost $500,000 in revenue closing the year within the past 4 to 5 months. And but on top of that, what we see is a massive opportunity in the market, not only Africa, but also taking African technology global. So we've seen a significant opportunity in the UK, so that expansion is happening there. But what do we need? And I think speaking for many startup founders in the room right now is that research in AI is core to building an AI infrastructure that really works. But you find that we do it on a shoestring budget, right? Like you're really struggling, man, like, you know, to get by while, you know, building. And so lack of funding, and I say this very, you know, emphatically, I want to emphasize on this, lack of research funding, that play fund that enables you to really build for 6 months, 8 months to really deploy the product is a big challenge. So it's very exciting what Silicon Xchange is doing, bringing the funding or bringing the experienced folks back home so that they can be able to provide that dilutive capital for us to be able to build. So that works significantly. Second, we're very open to partnerships. If you are looking to expand your AI network in Africa, with Skizaa AI, we are definitely the leading infrastructure for data analytics. Very happy you said data science, so we are competing. So network and partnerships. If you're in retail, if you're in health tech, if you're in agri-tech and you're looking for a data analytics infrastructure that supports your business and accelerates your growth, Skizaa AI is the way to go. Cheers.
Excellent. Yeah, let's make the partnerships happen so we can build some unicorns here. So next, I want to hear from you, Faye. I know you're active in Lagos. I'm keen to understand kind of how you're thinking about like a Pan-African expansion and presence. Like how different is this market? Because I think there's lots of companies now that are starting to think about building Pan-African from the get-go. Just tell us a little bit about that and how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, we're 100% thinking about building Pan-Africanly from the beginning. I actually got the idea for Reeka in Kenya, so it has a lot, very near and dear to my heart to be back in Nairobi. And so for us, that looks like working, we have a true SaaS platform, and so it's relatively scalable across different markets. I think when you're in Kenya, you definitely have to pay attention to the payment rails here, primarily in M-Pesa, so that's something that we're working on to make sure that we're adapting locally. I also think, the other thing about real estate, one of my favorite ways to describe is that real estate houses the economy. And so you can never outrun the macro environment that you're in. And so if you've been paying attention to what's going on in Nigeria, we had a lot of currency devaluation, currency instability. And so even though, interestingly, that's driven more people to look at short-term rentals because they're looking for ways to make up some of their lost revenue, it's also important that we look at diversification from the get-go. And I'm also excited for this type of event. Big thanks to Ashley and Tom for putting it together, because you need that cross-pollination, not just between Africa, and Africa's really big, as we know, and the US or UK, but also across Africa, north, south, east, west. So hopefully there'll be more Nigerians next year, and more people from all over Africa next year.
Fantastic. Let's give it to Rama to just tell us what can we do to help you get this huge vision come to life, or like what kind of partnerships do you need and all that.
Yeah. If you have a piece of metal with a chip on it and it's in orbit, please talk to us. So we are. Like I mentioned, we just raised our round of funding, but as a founder, you are always raising, right? So if you've got cash and you're thinking about joining our seed round next year, please come talk to me, or find June and find Jacob, and they'll direct you right back to me. Other than that, we are hiring. So we've been deep in the hiring process over the last couple of weeks. We've got some good candidates, but if you're interested, if you want to come work with us, build something that could crash and burn horribly, or be really impressive in the long run, right? Come work with us as well. So we're hiring for a business development manager, a product manager, and most importantly, more systems engineers like June and Jacob as well. Yeah, I think those are the important things, but I think probably the most important thing in general is the best way for you to help us is to go out and build something, please, right? There's always more time for you to think about it next year, do it next year, or like it's December, let me think about it later. Do it now. If you have the means, if you're not in there aren't visa issues somewhere, and you don't have like 20 mouths to feed, please go build that thing you've been talking about for forever. Like, we're tired of hearing about it, go do it.
Okay, yeah, so that kind of sums this up. I'm gonna open it up to the audience. If you have any burning questions, or you want to say how you want to partner with these guys, please raise your hand. So just 2 questions.
Hello, my name is Ivy. I'm a product manager at Google. My question is for Faye. So with your product, part of the solution it provides is to provide a single source of truth for real estate managers. I'm curious how you've gone about building trust with your customer base and getting people to divorce the behavior that they have on relying on WhatsApp and switching to your product.
Yeah, so I love that question. So 2 things we're doing, and it's different in different markets. So the first is we're actually integrating with the existing booking websites, so booking.com, Airbnb, et cetera. That's actually more relevant in Kenya because you guys have a lot of foreign visitors, less relevant actually in Nigeria. So very, very interesting learning for me is that a lot of the ecosystem in Nigeria uses informal agents to find their properties, even short-term rentals. And that's because Nigerians like to hold someone by the t-shirt collar if something goes wrong. And so we've actually leaned into that informality. And so rather than saying we're building the Airbnb for Africa, or we're building, a new listing platform, we think that's extremely commoditized. We just want to work on your internal systems, distribute however you want, put a flyer outside if that works for you, go scream it on Instagram Live if that works for you. But Reeka just allows you internally to have the organization so you don't have things like double bookings, et cetera.
Hi, so I'm gonna make it super straightforward. You did mention about data recently, as you're talking just now. Data is only important at the point of decision making, right? So how do you recognize those key decisions for organizations so that they can use the data at the right time? How do you know those moments?
Brilliant. So the way we built our infrastructure, and I realized that infrastructure in most conversation, it means something physical. So the way we built our platform is such that it adapts to companies' data, individual companies' data. So I'll give you an example. So for instance, Uncover, which deals with a lot of retail conversations, what it does is, as soon as we plug in into their data set, we have what we call human in the loop. And so human in the loop will spend some time really just teaching our platform what is the existing workflow for the companies, what are the existing bottlenecks, and what can the infrastructure really solve the problem. So the human in the loop is probably the biggest driving factor for our product usage. And just to really, I want to add something on top of that because it ties to one of the questions that was asked. That has really influenced our GTM because most data scientists are very, they always come to us and say, are you taking away my job? Because then we are handling the entire workflow. And so the human in the loop means that the data scientist will always be relevant because they have the company-specific knowledge of what every key decision maker needs. But also on top of that, what we have as a part of the solution is the generative AI piece that enables people without data analytics skills to directly write queries like, hey, what were our sales for the past 10 days, and they get the answer that they need. So those 2 key factors come into play.
Yeah, that's a wrap. So feel free to connect with these guys, and a big round of applause.